So today, on the first interview format of Statecraft, I have my very first guest, Harman Kandola, a very good friend of mine. We've worked together, we've done community work together, we've joked and laughed together on many things, and almost cried on many other things. Harman and I met when he ran for the Progressive Conservatives back in 2015, and I was immediately impressed by his smarts and his actually, one thing that really stood out about me, Harman, I don't think I ever told you this, was the first speech you gave. And I think a lot of people in the audience were really impressed with your ability to deliver and connect. And I always remember that, and that's always why I'm always on you to run again, because I think that's a big component in terms of inspiring our young people. But how was that? How was the experience running in 2015?
Well, you're too kind, Najib, and thanks for that. Don't forget that we've also been able to enjoy fatherhood, at the same time.
That's true. That's true.
I know so many times I come up to you and like, "How old's your daughter now?" And you're like, "Harman, we were at the hospital at the same time."
We literally ran into each other at the hospital. We did. I was going out, and you were going in.
I remember that. You're walking out, and you look at me, and there I am, like exhausted. I walk in, and for whatever reason, it's the joys of fatherhood rob you of a lot of your time, your time awareness, and so.
The funniest thing I remember about that, because we were heavy in the campaign, right? Because our daughters were born in August, right?
Yeah.
They're both born in August, and the election was, when was it? March the next year? No, was it in March? March, April.
Yeah. See, look at this. Like I said, it takes away your ability to think of time.
Right. So we were heavy in campaign mode, and I remember, the day after his daughter was born, Harman was in the campaign office, and I'm like, "Harman, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "They don't want me there." He's like, "They're just like, you're underfoot. Like, go to your campaign." And that's the beauty of our culture and our community. It's like everybody gets together and help out, and I was really impressed with that. I'm reminded of that, how you were able to get back to the campaign just because you have so much family and community support.
Yeah, I try to tell people who are new fathers, and I say it in a very exaggerated manner, which is, for the first year, your child doesn't need you, so don't worry about it. And I don't mean that, but what I'm trying to convey to people is that, a lot of people expect that their life will change the day that their child is born, and no doubt that there's that moment. But in building a bond with your child, it sometimes takes time. Like, for some people, that eureka moment doesn't happen that day, and nobody should feel bad about that. And so I always give new fathers this pep talk before this, which is, don't worry, they don't need you. You're useless. Take it easy, right? But ultimately, I think for me, so during that first campaign in 2015, my son was born March 24th, and I think I was off for a day or 2 days, and then there I was in my first election campaign, running as the youngest candidate for the PC party, the 44-year-old dynasty, and just getting slaughtered at the doors. and then I think a couple of weeks into the campaign, my wife joined me, and she'd have our son Isher out in the stroller behind me and going with me, and that was our ability to have some time together and spend time with my son. Was actually taking him door knocking at the age of 2 weeks. In hindsight, I don't think we slept a lot, and I credit to my wife for stepping up and supporting me and coming out. I'm amazed looking back at this that she was out there after like 2 weeks of childbirth, and one lady saw this stroller. I think she didn't believe us. I think she thought
it was a prop. Yeah.
And she's like, "Can I see your baby?"
Yeah.
And, yeah, absolutely. And she comes up to the stroller, and she actually wants to look at the stroller, like, and I just thought to myself, like, has somebody actually done this as a prop?
I don't doubt it. You and I know, like, if it could be done, it's been done. No, you're absolutely. I mean, we're both extremely fortunate to have married well. I think we both married way outside of our class, so we're fortunate that way. And my daughter, I always talk about this all the time, because when she was born, we were heavy in campaign. When I always tell people, my daughter's probably been to more campaign events and campaign offices than most people, so she's getting acutely aware of the political scene. And it's interesting because when my daughter was born, my wife was pregnant, everybody was like, oh, it's going to be a boy, right? I mean, my parents, my mom and my relatives have been waiting a long time for me to have a child, and so everybody's really excited, and they convinced us, with all the the weird like old wives' tale kind of stuff, like that it was gonna be a boy, right? Because your wife is still beautiful, and if it's a girl, the woman isn't beautiful and she's pregnant, and like it's riding high, it's riding low, it's big, it's small, like all this stuff. So I didn't even understand that, like mentally, subconsciously, I had been convinced that it was a boy, even though I actually didn't have a preference one way or the other. And then when she was delivered and it was, they said it was a girl, I was kind of like in temporary shock. Like it took me a second to register and then realize that, I'd already just convinced myself that it was a boy. And, but I tell you, since, I love being a hashtag girl dad, as they say. And, I think our community sometimes does a disservice of underplaying that relationship of a father with his daughter. I can't wait to get home and all the things that, I thought that I would, like you said, like as fathers, we don't really sometimes know until the child's a little bit older what our relationship's going to be. From day one, like her and I had a special connection. And you're absolutely right, how they say that, women become mothers the day they find out they're pregnant, but men, don't become fathers until once the child's born or even later. So, but I had that connection with her right away. And, I truly appreciate, and I think that we need to do a better job of helping men understand that special bond.
Well, so in our family, my grandfather only had 2 sons. And then when, his 2 sons had children, initially it was all boys. And so out of 5 grandchildren, only 1 was a girl. And so we always grew up in a household where our grandparents were so deferential to, their granddaughter, because they had 4 of us, and the rest of us were replaceable.
Exactly.
So
there's redundancy.
Absolutely. And so for the family, it was, after several generations, you now had a granddaughter. So she had this special place in my grandmother and my grandfather's eyes, and we grew up with that. But for my mother, so she had 2 sons, and then my eldest was a son. And then my brother had a son. So when I had my daughter, my mother never had her daughter, and so for her, this was such a great moment to be able to have that, because she never got to kind of enjoy having a daughter of her own, which is also why she embraced my wife and my sister-in-law so much, and why it's worked for us and our family. But I think you're starting to see a lot of conversations shift around these issues in the culture and in families. I remember I have a good friend of mine who's who has 2 older sons. He was expecting a 3rd. He was one of 2 brothers. So it's kind of a similar trajectory. And when he had his 3rd child, they tell the family that it was a son, and everybody's kind of like, okay. The expectation was like,
that's the best you can do,
right? Yeah. So he's like, nobody feels special about the 3rd guy. There's so much extra redundancy now, right? And everybody was hoping for a daughter. So for us, when we had our daughter, one of the things that people in our culture do is, they distribute sweets to their families as
I'm still waiting for mine after he's got 3 kids now. I've never met him.
Well, the first kid, you were there at the campaign.
Well, that's true. I was there at the sweets table. That's right.
Right. But for my daughter, one of the things that there's this great initiative that was started. It's called the Pink Laddu movement. So laddu is the sweet that is usually distributed. I don't even know what goes into laddu, so let's not get into it.
It's sugar rolled into a ball, dipped in syrup, coated with more sugar. Let's just put it that way. It's a ball of sugar.
Yeah, we struggled with the concepts of diabetes.
We don't struggle. It doesn't struggle with us.
So and people now to kind of celebrate the significance of a daughter's, they actually dye these pink, and
that's awesome. I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, so we were able to find somebody here locally who was able to dye us and make us pink ladoos.
This is awesome.
Yeah, and so we distributed pink ladoos to people, just to kind of give the extra importance and attention to be able to have a daughter. And I could say that my experience so far has been, like you said, my relationship with my daughter is extremely strong, and the bond is very, very, it deepens as they age. But she's so strong-willed. My son is very docile. Like, it's easy enough for me to be able to convince him to do something, but my daughter, it is a struggle. Like, I struggle on a daily basis.
Well, they're defiant.
Absolutely. I think that's a great. Defiance is
Bro, I said to my daughter once because she was being defiant. I said, "You're not the boss." She looked me dead in the eye and said, "I am the boss." Dead in the eye.
That is terrifying.
I know.
That is terrifying.
And she was like 1.5 at the time.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and that is coming. Where but she's so my daughter's so caring as well, and my older son when he had a sister was not nearly as caring for the extra sibling. I think that's more of being the eldest. You had all the attention to yourself, and now somebody else shows up and they're just taking that for you. But for her, having grown up having an elder sibling, for having now a younger sibling, being in the middle is giving her this opportunity to kind of bond with both, right? And so it's great to see the dynamic, and it's just they're unique in their own ways, whether they're boys or girls. But I definitely am grateful to be able to have both this daughter and a son, and 2 sons now. But I think I'm terrified of what's to come as a father.
Oh, everybody keeps telling me that. When whoever meets my daughter, I was like, "You're in trouble." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."